भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone for today's Gita Pravaha session. In the last 22 days, we covered the first 12 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Today we'll begin the 13th chapter on the 23rd day. We are entering the last section of Bhagavad Gita. In the 13th chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna 6 questions and Krishna answers them. That's the content of the 13th chapter. So Krishna authentically and very profoundly answers the 6 questions by Arjuna, and at the end and within this chapter he also gives 20 beautiful elements of knowledge. What are some basic qualifications or qualities that we need to have to cultivate knowledge? That Krishna speaks. That is one of the highlights of this chapter. We are going to cover that today. So let's begin with Arjuna's 6 questions. First shloka. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetragnameva cha etadveditumicchami jnanam gneyam cha Keshava. Arjuna says, "O Keshava, I want to know what Prakriti is." Of course, he knows, and Krishna also mentioned about Prakriti quite a few times, but still, Arjuna wanted some elaborate understanding of these terms. First, Prakriti. Second, I want to know elaborately about Purusha. Third, Kshetram. Kshetra means field. Prakriti means nature. Purusha means the enjoyer or the controller of that nature, the master of the nature. Kshetram, third question. Kshetra means a field, a place. Kshetragna means the knower of that field. Gna means one who knows. Kshetragna means one who knows the field, the knower of the field. In our context, Kshetram is the body and Kshetragna is the knower of the body. Then fifth question, Jnanam. What is Jnanam? Can you please elaborate on this? Fifth point. Sixth is Gneyam. Gneyam means the object of knowledge, that which is worth knowing. So there are so many things in this world. You may know some of them, but you need not know all of them. You cannot know all of them also. Only those objects which are worth knowing, you can explore them. You can try to pursue knowledge in that direction. Right? What is the worthiest object of knowledge? So that these are the 6 questions asked by Arjuna, and the answers to these 6 questions is the rest of the chapter. We'll go one by one. First, Krishna begins to answer this Kshetra Kshetragna first. Later he will come to Gnana Gnaya. Then he will come to Prakriti and Purusha. These are like 3 pairs. Total 6, 3 pairs. Kshetra Kshetragna. Body and the knower of the body. Gnanam Gnayam. Knowledge and object of knowledge. Prakriti Purusha means nature and the controller. So Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidhiyate etadyo vetti tam prahuhu kshetragna iti tadvidah. Idam shariram kaunteya. Sharira means body. O Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, this shariram is kshetram. Idam shariram Kaunteya means this shariram, this body is the kshetram. And etad yovetti tam prahuhu. Whoever knows that kshetram, whoever knows that body is kshetragna, the knower of the body. Right? So, who knows the body and what exactly this body is? So, Krishna elaborates. No. Firstly, we need to understand this body is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether. As Krishna already said in the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he has six energies. Sorry, he has eight energies, five gross and six subtle, three subtle. So, am I audible? Uh, so he has eight constituents of material energy, five gross and three subtle. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. Right. So this body is composed of these material elements, gross and subtle material elements. So the kshetra or the body is the field of activity. Means only through this body we can perform something. There are some people who are not fortunate enough to get a gross body, a visible body. They keep wandering in this world in subtle bodies as spirits, as ghosts, right? Ghostly existence. They have mind, they have intelligence, they have ego, but they don't have hands and legs and eyes and nose, etc. Right? They keep moving. So, unfortunately, those people who committed very sinful activities or suicide or whatever, such people may enter ghostly existence. But this gross body is required. This body made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, that has visible limbs of hands and legs and nose and ears, that's required for us to perform any activity. And that body is the kshetra, right? It's a product of matter, it's a product of prakriti. And kshetrajna is the spiritual personality, the soul. The soul who resides in the body is the knower of the body, and the body itself is the kshetra. Hmm. The kshetra and kshetrajna. Kshetra is the body, kshetrajna is the soul. Soul. Now there is another kshetrajna also. There are two kshetrajnas. Krishna says in the next shloka, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yattat jnanam matam mama. So Krishna says, Kshetragnam cha api mam vidhi. Mam means me. The soul who resides in the body is a Kshetragna. And Krishna who resides in the body is also Kshetragna. How does Krishna reside in the body? In the form of Paramatma, Super Soul. The soul and Super Soul both are there in the body. Both are like two birds on a tree. Tree is the body, soul and Super Soul are like two birds. But one bird is interested in the fruits of this tree, but other bird is just neutrally observing the tree. Means Atma is interested in enjoyment on the bodily plane, but Paramatma is not interested in any bodily enjoyment. Paramatma doesn't even identify himself with the body. Paramatma is just observing what this Atma is doing with the body. If the Atma is doing good things through the body, then Paramatma will note down. Very good, good, good points, positive remarks. If the Atma is doing many bad things through this material body, then Paramatma will note down. Sometimes people may think, this is my body and I'm using this body in this way. I'm not harming anyone. There are some people who use this body to harm others. That's very bad. But there are some people who use their bodies to harm themselves only. Right? They may explore some self pleasures by overeating or overindulgence in bad things. They may spoil their own body. But please understand, this body is not your body. You are not. You don't belong to yourself only. What is Atma? Atma is a servant of Krishna. Atma is part of Krishna. Atma is a product of Krishna. Atma is a child of Krishna. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam. And Krishna also says, Mamayivamsho jiva loke. So Atma belongs to Paramatma. And Atma's Sharira is also belonging to Paramatma. Now Atma, if the Atma starts identifying himself independent of Paramatma and starts thinking that this Sharira belongs to me and uses that Sharira in unmentionable ways, although this person is not harming anybody, destroying anybody, not destroying anybody, still that is sin, right? There are there are some people who are too much addicted to sense enjoyment, sense gratification. These people exploit others. They trouble others. That is definitely sin. But there are some people they may not trouble anyone else. They try to utilize their bodies for extra sense enjoyment, But that is also sin, right? Because we need to understand we belong to Krishna, our body belongs to Krishna, and we are given the independence and responsibility to use this body in Krishna's service. That's our role. But if the Atma thinks that the Sharira is mine or Sharira is me, that's even more greater illusion. Atma thinks that this body is mine and I am this body and starts exploring sense pleasures on the material platform. mm, then that will entangle one in sin. So Krishna says, I am also Kshetragna, but I am a special Kshetragna. Because Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, Krishna is the Kshetragna of all Kshetras. While the soul is Kshetragna of one soul, one body only. Soul knows only one body, but Super Soul knows all bodies. And by the way, the soul does not know one body completely. The soul knows the body only partially. If you know whatever is happening with your body, why will you go to the doctor? Why people go to astrologers and doctors and other people to figure out what's happening with my body? They may know little bit. When they become hungry, they know they're hungry. When they have some pain, they know they have some pain, but they don't know why that pain came. That pain came because of overeating yesterday. Uh, or something else, something else. So doctor will diagnose and then just recommend some medication or do some tests or something like that. So an Atma cannot completely understand one kshetra also. But Paramatma can fully understand the kshetras of all living beings. And kshetra kshetragnayor gnanam yattad gnanam matam mama. You also asked another question, right? What is gnanam? That gnanam is knowledge about kshetra and kshetragna. Clear? Arjuna asked 6 questions. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Gneyam, Prakriti, Purusha. 6 questions. Krishna, within 2 shlokas, he answered 3 questions. So, first question, Kshetra. Kshetra is the body. Second question, Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna is the soul and super soul. 2 Kshetrajnas. And what is Jnana? Knowing about this Kshetra and Kshetrajna is Jnana. Means Jnana means knowledge means to know about the body, the spirit, and the controller of both. Matter, spirit, and controller of the both. MSC. Prabhupada writes in one purport. MSC means matter, spirit, and controller of both is knowledge. Means we should understand this prakriti, this material world. We should also understand the spirit or the souls who are living in this world. We should also understand the super soul, the supreme Lord. Clear? Atma, Paramatma, and Sharira. That is Jnana. Then, yeah, we already saw this. Kshetra is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, etc. Kshetragna, two knowers of the body, soul and super soul. Then, uh, then later Krishna says in the later shlokas, he gives a synopsis. Fourth shloka, he says where he will answer these questions. Anyways, we are going to see the answers. We will not get into those technical details. Or it's like more like a context index table. So then Krishna at this moment quotes authorities. He says, Rishibhir bahudha geetam chhindobhir vividhair prithak brahma sutra padaisaiva hetu madbhir vinishchitah. So in the fifth shloka, Krishna says that this knowledge about Kshetra, Kshetragna has been described in so many scriptures. So many sages have described in their Vedic writings. Here Krishna himself is the supreme authority. He is the compiler of all Vedas. He is the knower of all Vedas. All Vedas are born from Krishna. Still Krishna is quoting a Vedic authority. Because basically Krishna is establishing that whenever we are learning something or teaching something to someone, we need to quote an authority. We can't concoct our own knowledge. So, although Krishna says this is my opinion and that opinion is correct, we accept it, but still Krishna says there's a reference, there's an evidence in the scriptures. Many other sages also have said it. So, what did they say? They said that this body is composed of 5 great elements, Panchamahabhutas: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And also it has intelligence, ego, mind, and many other things. Sense objects are there. So the senses in the body are perceiving sense objects. And some of the elements in the body are sense objects to others, right? So there's, and this body undergoes so many transformations, so many changes. In the sixth and seventh slokas, Krishna speaks this body is going undergoing so many changes like ichha, dvesha. Ichha means desire, dvesha means hatred, sukha means happiness, dukkha means distress. Like that, this body is an aggregate of all these experiences, right? And to know all that is jnana, is knowledge. But don't stop at knowing only about the body. Krishna said jnana is not just knowledge about kshetra, knowledge about the material body or material nature only. Jnana is knowledge about soul also, knowledge about super soul also. There's something called Sankhya. You know that Sankhya, right? We already discussed a little bit of Sankhya in the second chapter. There is a spiritual Sankhya and there is a material Sankhya. So, material Sankhya basically is analysis, enumeration and analysis of elements around us, material elements. There are some people, scientists or anyone, they may analyze matter. You see, in the chemistry that kids study in their schools, there is periodic table. So different characteristics and properties of different elements are studied. So at one level, studying the properties of material elements will give you some knowledge. It could be gross elements, water, earth, ether, etc. But there is one more thing, studying subtle material elements. There are some people who study gross elements, right, which are made of earth, water, fire, ether. And there are some people, some intellectuals, they study subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego. Psychologists, right? They understand the functionings of others' minds, right? So, very advanced philosophers, they study intelligence, how intelligence functions, right? What are different aspects of intelligence, like that. So, but uh, while material analysts stop at analyzing the gross body and subtle body only spiritual analysts or spiritual Sankhya followers will also analyze Atma and Paramatma. Many people in this world, they analyze only material elements. They analyze how matter functions, how this gadget functions, how this light functions, how that lamp functions, how the chair functions, how to manipulate this properties of this material element to produce some product. They have invented so many things, which is good for the humanity. But we should, Sankhya is not just to stop at analysis of material elements only and inventing so many things or discovering so many things. That is, analysis should not stop at analyzing material elements only. We need to analyze spirit also. What are the properties of Atma? Not only earth, water. So also understand the properties of Atma and also understand the properties of Paramatma, Supreme Lord. Right? Then your Sankhya is complete. That is spiritual Sankhya. Otherwise, it's atheistic Sankhya or materialistic Sankhya. Right? So, Jnanam is to understand matter, spirit, and controller of both. Means the world around us and the soul and also the Supreme Lord who is the origin of all the souls and material world. But to acquire that knowledge, we need to have some qualities. So anybody cannot acquire knowledge. Already Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, fourth chapter. You remember in the fourth chapter, Krishna said, Shraddha vallabhate jnanam. If you have Shraddha, you will attain knowledge, jnanam. So faith is one quality, but apart from faith in the source of knowledge, you need to also have several other qualities. So we need to understand. Once we have those qualities, then we can acquire knowledge. अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचं स्थैर्यम् आत्मविनिग्रहः मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जन संसदि. So many slokas. We'll try to cover as many as possible. I'll not jump from 8 to 11. So far, I spoke first 7 slokas, a summary of first 7 slokas. Now, 8th sloka onwards, Krishna describes the process of acquiring knowledge. Process of acquiring knowledge is basically to cultivate all these good qualities. So first, amanitvam means pridelessness. We should not be proud. Adambhitvam, same thing. Humility and pridelessness. Ahimsa, non-violence. So we need to discuss about each of these qualities. Yesterday in Bhakti Yoga chapter, 12th chapter, Krishna spoke about different elements of knowledge. Different qualities that make one dear to Krishna. What brings us closer to Krishna, Krishna spoke. Now, Krishna is also presenting several other qualities, good qualities, as a part of cultivating knowledge. So, whether to cultivate knowledge or to become dear to Krishna by performing bhakti, we need to have good qualities. I often say we get seed of bhakti from a spiritual master, from Guru. Guru plants that seed of bhakti in our heart. And that seed must be watered every day with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. By hearing about the Lord, by chanting the names of the Lord, we are watering the seed. That's great. But just pouring water on the seed is not sufficient. The soil also has to be fertile, right? So, soil has to be fertile. Seed has to be potent. You can't just fry the seeds and then plant them and they will not grow. So, we need to understand the seed has to be potent. Means we need to take spiritual guidance from a elevated Vaishnava Guru. They can give that seed of bhakti, right? Anybody cannot randomly, a materialistic person, cheaters are there. There's so many cheating sadhus in this world. They present themselves as great spiritualists, but internally they may be doing a lot of forbidden things, bad things, right? So, but and whatever spiritual guidance we get from such people is ineffective because they themselves are not trying to follow spirituality. What training can they give? So, a potent spiritual guru, uh, one who is already initiated by his guru, one is also trying to following spiritual culture. If such a spiritually elevated personality plants the seed of bhakti within our hearts, that seed has potency. And that seed will grow into very nice plant or luxurious creeper when you water it through Shravanam Kirtanam, our sadhana. But just watering the seed is not sufficient. We should also have fertile soil. What is that fertility of soil? The heart has to be filled with good qualities. We need to have humility, pridelessness, gratitude, compassion, satisfaction, tolerance, respecting others, not envying anybody, being kind towards others, being friendly with others. So these are the qualities. When these qualities are there in the heart, then that seed will fructify nicely, along with Shravanam and Kirtanam. Right? If you only have these qualities, but if you are not doing Shravanam and Kirtanam, what will happen? These qualities are at the max will take you to mode of goodness, Sattvagun. That's all. But if you are doing only Shravanam Kirtanam without cultivating these qualities, then we may become proud of acquiring so much of spiritual knowledge. Right? But when we combine this Shravanam and Kirtanam, our hearing and chanting, with good qualities, virtues, values, uh, good qualities, then together they will take us closer to Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is repeatedly emphasizing on the importance of cultivating these qualities. I will show a summary table because the slides are too elaborate. I will show this summary table. Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshanti rajyavam acharyopasanam shaucham sthiryam atmavidigraha. Amanitva means humility. Uh, Adambhitva means pridelessness. Both are same in one sense. Not being anxious to be famous, not being very anxious to uh, receive honor from others. Right? When you are practicing bhakti, you may get some fame, you may get some reputation, you may get some recognition. But we don't practice bhakti for recognition, for fame. That's a byproduct. And if it comes, then a devotee is expert enough to use that fame or reputation to spread the glories of the Lord. When you become famous, people like to listen to you, right? Then you speak about Krishna, then they will listen about Krishna. They'll also come close to Krishna. Devotee is not at all attached to fame. By the sincere practice of bhakti, if some fame comes, devotee utilizes that fame in spreading Krishna consciousness, spreading awareness about bhakti, and trying to bring people closer to the Lord. So that is the purpose. of any opulence. We have seen so many such examples, right? When you are worshipping the deity, you are offering fragrant oil to the deity. So you take in Abhishek time, we have seen during Abhishek, we take fragrant oil and sandalwood paste and apply it to the beautiful deity of the Lord, Radha Krishna, or Gaurnitai, or Narasimhadev, or whomever you are worshipping. When you are applying that sandalwood pulp or fragrant oil to the deity, your purpose is to serve the deity, but some oil, some fragrance, some sandalwood pulp will smear to your hands also, your fingers also, and they will also become fragrant. But your aim is not to make your hand fragrant by applying that oil. Your aim is to serve the Lord. Similarly, when you are serving the Lord by speaking Harikatha, Krishna Katha, you may also get some recognition, you may also get some visibility. But we should never be carried away by that. We should be rooted in our mood of being a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. That is a Amaditva. That is Adambhitva. We should not just hanker to be honored by others. Mahaprabhu also said some similar things. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi. So if we are not humble, if we are not tolerant, if we are not respectful to others, if we are hankering to be honored by others, these very qualities will act as obstacles in our devotional service. Our desire for honor and prestige and fame and reputation is a great obstacle in the consciousness. Therefore, Krishna said, acquire knowledge, the first quality, amanitvam, right? Don't hanker for respect from others. Amanina manadena, right? Amanitvam, no false prestige. That's the first quality, foremost quality. Humility is the foremost quality to uh, acquire knowledge. Then ahimsa, non-violence. What is this non-violence? We follow four regulative principles. We follow this one principle of no meat eating. Is that non-violence? Yes, definitely. When we are not killing animals and eating their flesh for our satisfaction of tongue, that's great. That's one aspect of non-violence. But sometimes one can be violent towards others through words also, not only through actions. When we speak hurtful words, when we hurt others purposely, then it's violence. Of course, sometimes when you're training people, you may have to speak little strongly so that they understand things. It's a part of training with a well-wishing intent. But if one unnecessarily is hurting others, speaking very harsh language, naturally that will uh, act as an obstacle in acquiring knowledge, or in acquiring bhakti also. Ahimsa, being non-violent. Kshanti means tolerance. We already discussed a lot about tolerance. We need to tolerate at multiple levels. On a physical plane, we need to tolerate heat and cold. On a mental plane, we need to tolerate happiness and distress. On the plane of ego, we need to tolerate respect and disrespect, honor and dishonor. What is tolerating honor? When someone is honoring you, praising you, glorifying you, don't become proud. That is tolerating honor. And what is tolerating dishonor? When somebody is insulting you or criticizing you or dishonoring you, don't overreact. If there is an element of truth in what they are saying, try to accept it, work on it, improve yourself. If there is no element of truth, then we have multiple options. One, we keep quiet, ignore the comments. Second, we may politely defend ourselves, saying that, oh, I think you have a misunderstanding. Some miscommunication must have happened. Sorry, I think this is the real fact. You can just communicate, establish your innocence if that is required. Ignore or establish your innocence. But whatever you do, don't hate the person. Don't hate the person. Because we need to tolerate the urge to hate another person who may act against our interests. As soon as somebody comments on us, says something or does something which causes pain to us, uh, one is addressing that pain. Second thing is controlling our urge to hate the person who causes that pain. Don't hate the person. That is another level of tolerance. Next, Arjavam. Arjavam means being simple and straightforward. Don't be diplomatic. Don't be duplicitous. Don't be hypocritical. Just be straightforward, be simple hearted, be plain hearted, right? Of course, sometimes when we are too simple hearted, too plain, people may take us for a ride. So we need to be smart enough to protect ourselves. Yesterday we discussed about it. But in general, in all our regular dealings, we need to be straightforward and simple, not complicated. Because when there is too much of complication in the heart or mind or intelligence, we can't understand even simple facts. Sometimes when somebody is overly intellectual, too much of complex thought process, they cannot relate a simple pastime of Krishna. Nice pastime of Krishna, Krishna liberating Putana, or Krishna performing Damodar Leela, or Krishna eating dirt and getting scolded by Mother Yashoda. Such simple pastimes, you can relish them nicely, and people become so analytical about it, uh, and they may question, they may doubt how this pastime could even happen, right? And they cannot relish simple pastimes. They want complicated thought process, very complicated. Anyways, we need to have that simplicity to even understand and appreciate simple pastimes of the Lord. Then sthiryam means being very determined, steady in progress in spiritual life. Atma vinigraha, self-control. Reject anything unfavorable. Indriyartheshu vairagyam. Indriya means senses. Indriyartha means objects of senses, means sense objects. Indriyartheshu vairagya means be detached from sense objects. Hmm? Sense control. We discussed a lot about it in the second chapter. Next, anahankara evacha. Ahankar means ego. Anahankara means don't have false ego. Basically, false ego means false identity. When we are falsely identifying ourselves with this body, we are egoistic. Some people may say that, of course, I am not egoistic. I don't have ego. I don't have any attitude. People may say that. They are generally saying that uh, they don't have pride, they don't have arrogance in their accomplishments, they don't look down upon people. That's what they're saying, which is correct in one sense. But really, ego means a sense of identity. When we are identifying ourselves with this body, with this mind, naturally we are egoistic, right? It's false ego, it's unhealthy ego. Ego is a sense of identity. When you are over identifying yourself with the body, when you are in the bodily conception, we are victims of ego, victims of false ego. And ahankara basically means to be spiritualized. See, without practicing spiritual life, you cannot claim that I have no ego. Only one who practices spiritual life, in fact, one who is spiritually realized, one is advanced in spirituality, to the degree we are advanced in spirituality, to that degree we are freed from false ego. One who is not practicing spirituality, one who is not having faith in the Lord, uh, is by default egoistic. What is ego? False identity, ignorance. Ahankara and ajnana both are same. When you have jnana, then you'll automatically have Vinaya. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini. You remember this? When you have Vidya, you'll also have Vinaya. But when you don't have Vidya, Vidya means Adhyatmika Vidya. Vidya means spiritual knowledge, spiritual education. When we don't have spiritual education, naturally there is no Vinaya. And if you have spiritual education and if that is not producing Vinaya, humility in you, then you are not properly educated on. Simple. So spiritual education and humility go hand in hand. You can't say, I have a lot of spiritual education, but I don't have humility. Or I have so much humility, I have no spiritual education. They don't go well. That doesn't sync, right? If you are really spiritually wise, spiritually knowledgeable, you have to be humble. If you are really humble, then only you will attain spiritual knowledge. They cannot, they coexist, right? So it's not that one can have knowledge but no humility. And if they don't have humility, their knowledge is not knowledge. I often say, Vinaya plus Gnana is Vijnana. Ahankar plus Gnana is Ajnana. Vinaya, take that V from Vinaya and put it before Gnana. Then it becomes Vijnana. Gnana means knowledge. Vijnana means realization. So your humility converts your knowledge into a realization. But take the second statement. Ahankar plus jnana is ajnana. Take A from ahankar and put it before jnana. It becomes ajnana, ignorance. So when your knowledge is accompanied by arrogance, it is ignorance. Right? Knowledge plus arrogance is ignorance. Knowledge plus humility is realization. So we need to cultivate that humility along with knowledge. Therefore, anahankara evacha. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam. You please perceive that janma, birth, mrityu, death, jara is old age, vyadhi is disease. These four things are causes of misery, dukkha doshanudarshanam. Many people don't even understand that it's a misery. Birth is a misery, death is a misery, disease is a misery, old age is a misery. But people just go with the flow and they don't even reflect on it. Why this misery is coming to me? Is there any way of completely avoiding disease? If some disease came, I'm taking some medicine, I'm all right for a while, again some disease comes. Is there a possibility of zero trouble through this body? No, not possible. You need to change the body. You need to acquire a spiritual body. You need to get rid of the material body. Then only no birth, no death, no disease, no old age. But as long as we're in this material body, we are subjected to janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. We need to understand that is dosha. It's a fault. It's not right. Next, asaktir anabhasvangaha. Anabhisvangaha. Asaktir means detachment. Anabhisvanga means freedom from entanglement. Putra dara grihadishu. Putra means children. Dara means spouse. Griha means home. So anabhisvanga means don't be overly attached. Yes, a householder has to take care of children, spouse, other members in the family. That's a responsibility. Do it. But don't be overly attached to it. Because these members of your family at this moment are members of the family in one lifetime only. But if somebody changes the body, they'll have different family members. That does not mean we become indifferent to our current family members. That's not the point. But also understand that these are not permanent family members. But can we have a permanent relation with them? Yes, it's possible. As long as we are connecting with our family members through body, that's a temporary relation. Blood relation, skin relation, bodily relation is a temporary relation. Simple. But as soon as you start connecting with them through spirit, it becomes permanent relation. What is connecting through spirit? Identify them as souls, parts of Krishna. See them as servants of Krishna. You identify yourself as a servant of Krishna and you see all the family members also as servants of Krishna. Thus, your home is a bunch of, your family is a bunch of servants of Krishna, serving Krishna together. You have, say, little Radha Krishna deities at your home. There is wife and husband and son and daughter and mother and father, grandmother, grandfather, all these 5, 6 members, 10 members in the family. Together, they are rendering various services to Krishna. Wife does some kind of service to the Lord. Husband does some other kind of service to the Lord. Kids do some other kinds of service to the Lord. Elder members in the family, they do some other service to the Lord. All are servants of Krishna. When I went to, like, in the US, and I went to Atlanta, they have kept a flyer of where my classes are happening. Each home, they kept, this is Radha Shyam Sundar Mandir, this is Radha Govinda Mandir, this is Jagannath Ji's Mandir. So they named that. I said, so many temples are there in Atlanta. In Atlanta, I just thought for a moment when I saw the flyer. But they are not temples, they are homes. But all the devotees living in those homes are considering themselves servants of the deities whom they are serving. Their homes are temples. And the deities get prominent uh, place in their home, and they are the center of the home, center of all the activities in the home. So that's how uh, devotees should consider their homes as homes of Krishna, consider themselves as members of Krishna's family. Then there is no entanglement, and connect with each other based on that spiritual relation, not the material bodily relation only. Mhm. So that's what Krishna is saying here. Anabhishvangaha, don't get too entangled with family members. That does not mean we leave them. That does not mean we That does not mean we become indifferent or insensitive towards them. That only means that spiritualize the relation. Don't keep it on the material platform. Next, nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtapapatishu. Sometimes we get ishta, means whatever we like, we get. Sometimes we have to experience what we don't like also. It could be food item. We have full experience every day about this. It could be something else also. You may want to work in some company. You may not get it. Get a job there. You have to, you're obliged to work in another company. And you sometimes you like to stay in one place. That's your favorite city. But you are obliged to stay in another place. Your job transferred you to some other location. There's whether it is place or people, you want to have good friendship and regular interaction with some people whom you like, but you can hardly meet them. They're somewhere else, you are somewhere else, they are busy or you are busy, or even if both are inclined to connect with each other, some geographical location is separating them, their activities are separating them. Like that, whether it is people or places or food items or clothes or whatever you want, you may not get. Sometimes you may get, sometimes you may not get, but be detached. That's what Krishna is saying. Ishta, anishta, upattishu. Even-mindedness. Samachittattva means be equipoised towards pleasant and unpleasant events, good or bad things, or likes and dislikes. Be neutral. Then 16th quality is the most important quality amongst all. What is that? Mayi cha ananya yogena bhakti ravyabhicharini. Mayi cha ananya yogena. Again, ananya word is coming here. So, please perform devotional service unto Krishna with undeviating attention. Then Vivikta Desha Sevitvam, living in a secluded place. Again, living in a secluded place does not mean you go into a forest and sit in a cave. Living in a secluded place here means living in favor, in like-minded association. Living with people who are also spiritually inclined like you. Like devotee association, basically. Not an incompatible material association. Next quality, 18th. Aratir Janasamsadi. Be detached from Janasamsadi, Janta. General mass of people who are not spiritually inclined. Adhyatma Gnana Nityatvam. Please understand the importance of Adhyatma Gnana, spiritual realization. Tattva Gnanartha Darshanam. Search for spiritual truth. Philosophically search for the absolute truth. Then you are really knowledgeable. This is the process of acquiring knowledge. When we cultivate these qualities, we acquire knowledge. When we have knowledge, we will have these qualities. If we don't have these qualities, we don't have knowledge. Simple. So knowledge and these qualities are equal to each other in that sense. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we'll discuss Gneyam, Prakriti and Purusha. Today we answered three questions. Means Krishna answered three questions. Kshetra, Kshetrajna and Gnanam. Tomorrow we'll see Gneyam, Prakriti, Purusha. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.